I think that he needs to have his Floyd Mayweather moment. And both the champions are going to know what I'm talking about. That moment that he had with Diego Corrales, where he went and took him apart. And Floyd, some people were saying the same thing a little bit, not as much, but a little bit about Floyd. He's a defensive fighter, he doesn't take chances, you can't hit him, all those kind of things. And then he goes in there with Diego Corrales, who good puncher, good fighter, champion, tremendous. And he takes him apart.
We are only weeks away from January 31st, 2026, and the anticipation inside Madison Square Garden is already electric. Normally, a matchup between two top-tier fighters sparks debates about brute strength versus lightning-quick speed. Yet, in the case of Shakur Stevenson facing Teofimo Lopez, the story has taken on a far stranger dimension. This isn't merely about, it's a clash between precision mastery and the raw, instinctive brilliance that legendary coach Teddy Atlas refers to as neon talent. While bookmakers are cautiously setting their lines, analysts foresee unpredictability at every turn. Can Shakur's defense hold against every attack, or does Teofimo carry that rare, instinctive edge capable of dismantling even the most flawless strategy?
Teofimo has those it factors, those special qualities, those explosive skills, those neon talents that I often talk about, that you either have them or you don't have them. Where, whether you want to call it the quick twitch, muscles, fibers, whatever you want to call it, but he has those kind of explosive abilities. And that makes him a guy that if he's on that particular night, it puts him at a different level.
Teddy Atlas, a man who has witnessed every type of fighter imaginable, sees something in Teofimo Lopez that numbers and stats simply can't capture. He calls it neon talent, those sudden, explosive bursts of skill that no training can instill. According to Atlas, a fighter either possesses this rare spark or they don't. While Shakur Stevenson represents flawless technique and unwavering consistency, Teofimo is the unpredictable element. Atlas points out that his erratic nature is actually his most potent weapon. Against lesser opponents, he may seem uneven, but under the brightest lights, those neon abilities let him achieve feats that defy reason. This is the threat Shakur must navigate, not a conventional opponent, but someone who thrives in disorder and unpredictability.
Would Teofimo knock out Shakur? No. Can Teo adjust to the point where he beats Shakur? Yeah. You don't see how? Shakur hates slick and economic boxers. So does Teo. They both hate where each other are. Shakur looks great against volume punchers. De Los Santos sitting back and not being active, Shakur doesn't look good. That's when they say he's boring. The thing is, Teofimo Lopez is an excellent fighter. He beat Josh Taylor and Lomachenko. How did he beat Lomachenko? By being patient. Y'all sleeping on Teo. And it's at 140. Now, the thing what's wrong with Teo is Teo also looks good as a counter puncher when you are a volume puncher too. Another thing is Teo looks very great when he's dialed in. He fights more athletic than Shakur. Shakur fights far more technically sound, and he's a more gifted fighter skill-wise. I'm leaning towards Shakur, but
While Teddy Atlas emphasizes the rare, untouchable X factor, Hall of Fame coach Abel Sanchez has offered a forecast that has left the boxing community puzzled. He isn't expecting a knockout, nor does he foresee a decisive victor. Instead, Sanchez predicts that the fight could very well end in a draw.
Shakur's a great talent, and Teofimo looked great in his last fight. Of course, he didn't have Shakur in front of him, but I think that for Shakur, he has to keep the fight at his distance. If he does that, I think it's a win for him. Teofimo, he's more, he wants to draw you and he wants to counterpunch. He's going to have to be a different guy this time. He's going to have to attack. He's going to have to be leading the fight, or else it's going to be a boring fight. I don't think it'll be a boring fight, but if he sits back and waits for Shakur's going to wait for him, then it's not going to be exciting. But I think Teofimo will attack. I think Teofimo has to attack. I think Teofimo has to do what Zepeda did, except for Teofimo's a lot more talented than Zepeda was. So I think that I honestly, I see a draw. I don't know why I see a draw, but I just see them both having great rounds and giving us the kind of fight that I think the public is looking for.
Sanchez's reasoning is sharp and unforgiving. For Teofimo to come out on top, he has to push forward relentlessly and embrace high-risk strategies. Shakur, on the other hand, can only win by controlling the distance and executing a precise, disciplined game plan, one that might even appear uneventful at times. Sanchez suggests that these clashing approaches could perfectly neutralize each other, creating a tactical deadlock where both fighters shine in bursts, yet neither manages to dominate completely. In a matchup of this magnitude, a draw would spark controversy, but given their contrasting styles, it's an unsettlingly plausible outcome.
It's really that time for him to really take his first loss and, me whoop his ass to the point where either he quits on the stool or I knock him out. How I see this fight being played out is with me pretty much setting that momentum for the people out there as well. Not really trying to force for it. However, I can't be too technical with Shakur. You got to make it a little ugly. You got to make it a little ugly. If you try to be too technical with Shakur, it could be too long of a weighted chess match. Certain people don't want to see that. They don't want to see pop shots. You know what I mean? They want to see good action. I have yet to see, and I think you could attest with me, I don't think we have seen Shakur face anyone higher than who he's going to face next, and that's of me. So, I definitely, commend him at least for stepping up to the plate. But I think it's time. I think it's really that time for him to really take his first loss and, me whoop his ass to the point where either he quits on the stool or I knock him out.
You really believe that, because everyone will say, oh man, Shakur is probably one of the best defensive fighters in the game. You really believe you can stop Shakur Stevenson?
The fight isn't just a physical test. There's a psychological battle unfolding long before the first bell. Tensions escalated when Teofimo threatened to force Shakur to quit on the stool, and Shakur's reaction was immediate and intense. He announced he had scrapped his Thanksgiving plans entirely, choosing to focus solely on training, a clear sign of total commitment. Yet, Lamont Roach offers a stark perspective on Teofimo's mindset. He contends that Lopez may not have the mental stamina for a grueling 12-round tactical showdown. According to Roach, if Teofimo fails to land a decisive blow early, frustration could set in, mistakes will follow, and eventually Shakur Stevenson, the precise, calculating fighter, could systematically dismantle him.
He a little cuckoo too, like he has like a little mental lapses every once in a while.
So who do you think wins that fight between him and Teofimo Lopez if they fight?
I think Shakur wins. And I don't think it's going to be like a super tough fight either. His IQ will frustrate him.
Don't you think Teo has also good ring IQ and also is slick, fast?
I think
explosive?
so, but when you look at Teo's performances against guys that are just pure boxers, it's just like he almost lost to Sandor Martin. Some people thought he lost to Sandor Martin.
He did beat Loma, who's arguably at the time considered one of the best in the world.
He did, and that was a hell of a performance too. A hell of a performance too. So yeah, I mean, I think he's hit or miss. You got to think he got stuff. He a little cuckoo too. Like he has like a little mental lapses every once in a while. Look at the Kambosos fight. Like that's a fight that people would never expect Kambosos to win. And he won a grueling match against him as well. So I just, I don't know. I don't think he can get it done against Shakur when it comes to like, cause it's going to be just a skill match. I don't think he's going to try to rough Shakur up, and it's probably not.
Those who have stepped into the ring with these fighters notice details that often escape public attention. Dalton Smith, who has sparred with Shakur since his amateur career, describes him as extraordinary and leans toward him as the likely winner. Still, even Smith acknowledges that, on paper, this matchup is a genuine 50-50th contest.
I think it's a great matchup. I'd probably have to favour Shakur in that on points. But like I said, Teofimo, one hell of a fighter. It really is a 50-50 fight. And of course, I'll be keeping my eye on that. But what a time to be a fighter in the 140-pound division. It's exciting.
Absolutely. I think, have you sparred with Shakur? I think I saw you in the interview talk about what was that sparring like and why is he the favorite over Teo?
I just think how he's progressed over the years. You can't deny Shakur's one hell of a fighter. He's a boxer. I don't think he's the biggest puncher, but his boxing and IQ and skills is a great fighter. And obviously, I remember Shakur from back in the junior days. Shakur's a good guy, and he's just one hell of a fighter.
Was it really difficult to hit him? Was his defense really that great?
No, it was many years ago. Obviously, the sparrings are competitive. It was great. Obviously, we used to go over. I went over a couple of times to Colorado for the training camps. I used to go with the Great Britain team, and we learned valuable lessons going over there, mixing it with the USA team, and all that over the years brings us to these moments now.
Keishan Davis, one of Shakur's teammates, paints a clear picture of how the fight might play out. He sees Shakur controlling the opening rounds with his quickness, only for Teofimo to adapt later, leveraging his size and strength to shift momentum. Davis points out an important nuance: a loss wouldn't necessarily end Teofimo's career, unless it's a humiliating defeat. If Shakur manages to make him appear inexperienced, that could mark a permanent turning point in his legacy.
I see it playing out, let's say, I see it starting off slow.
Okay.
And then I see as Shakur wins the first round, as Shakur wins the second round, slowly, I think Teo is eventually going to start picking it up and start imposing his will.
Right.
And then, it's just going to go from there. That's how I think it's going to go.
That's a fair assessment.
That's a fair one.
Especially for that to be his brother.
I think it's going to be close. I think it'll be closer than people think.
Tay was
very
good.
Hey, one thing I can say though, because I've been seeing, we've been amateur together and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Teo can fight.
I'm telling you that. Teo can fight.
Winning back
if you said he couldn't, you'd be lying.
Right. That's a real assessment though. I think Shakur still wins, but it'll be closer than what people think.
Teo is nice. A lot, man, no doubt.
Yeah, and Keyshawn, speaking of Teo, you've been vocal about your desire to fight Teofimo Lopez. And of course, I was there in Las Vegas, right, when you FaceTime Teo. Now Teo's fighting Shakur Stevenson. But do we see Keyshawn and Teo at some point?
How was Teo acting when I FaceTimed him? Since you brought it up, how was he acting?
You tell me. You tell the people.
Why do I gotta tell you?
You gotta tell him anyway. Right. How was he acting?
Hey, all I'm gonna say is he was not motivated.
Right.
He kept saying he wanted boots.
Look,
he kept saying he wanted boots.
What you asked me again? Because I want to answer that. What'd you say?
Do we see you and Teo fight in the future?
Depending on what Shakur do with him.
Hey, losing to Shakur though, that can't be a death sentence, right? We can still see Teo back.
It depends how bad he loses.
I was about to say.
So you think it's going to be bad?
Let's say he loses a competitive fight.
Yeah,
I think that would be the most common answer is Shakur outpoints him in a very competitive fight.
Beats him.
What then? What then for you and Teo?
For the businessman, huh?
All right, cool. Okay, since you worded it like that, I don't, because I won't go say that shit.
Max Kellerman highlights a crucial detail that many are overlooking. Teofimo Lopez is the one who initiated this matchup. In a time when most fighters avoid facing Shakur Stevenson at all costs, Teofimo stepped up and called for the fight. That willingness to confront the challenge head-on speaks volumes about his courage and mindset.
Is a real super fight, and I said this on the broadcast for Crawford and Canelo, can't be promoted into existence.
Right.
What a real super fight is, the dust settles in an era, and there are two dudes left standing. There's Ali, there's Frazier, there's Leonard, there's Hagler, there's Mayweather, there's Pacquiao. That's a super fight, right? There's Crawford, there's Canelo. Those are two big fighters of the era. This type of fight, this could easily be at the end of an era, because Teo might be a dude left standing and Shakur could be the dude left standing, right?
I agree.
But it could happen now. It could happen now.
Sean Porter gives Shakur a slight advantage, rating him around 60/40ths, but cautions that Teofimo's explosive power is part of who he is. History tells a familiar story. When he faced Lomachenko, the odds were stacked against him, and against Josh Taylor, many assumed he was done. Yet on both occasions, he defied expectations and stunned the boxing world. Known as the master of upsets, betting against Teofimo when he's under pressure has repeatedly proven to be a risky move.
Teofimo Lopez. Another easy fight. The problem with him is he's too delusional to go in the gym and fix his mistakes. So I ain't even I can't say it all. Like I said, I'm gonna make that fight look easy.
We are witnessing a battle that perfectly fits the unstoppable force versus immovable object scenario. On one side stands Shakur Stevenson, a defensive mastermind who gave up his holidays to reach an unprecedented level of readiness. On the other is Teofimo Lopez, a fighter fueled by neon talent and a proven track record of toppling champions. The question looms, can Shakur's discipline outlast Teofimo's unpredictable brilliance, or will Teofimo deliver his most devastating statement yet? Opinions are divided, trainers foresee stalemates, and both fighters are fully prepared for war.
He's just not a talented guy, he's ultra talented. And he's got some great hand speed, and his feet work very well.
Absolutely.
So he's kind of hard, he's an elusive guy to catch up to. And if that's what his game plan is, if he's successful with that, Tio is the guy that may not like the way that Shakur fights when they get in the ring. He may not, he may stop and stump his feet and say, "Come on, man, let's fight."
Yeah, let's fight.
Shakur may say, "Nah, we're not fighting. We're boxing."
Yep, and that's what I was gonna finish off with. A lot of people saying this is a 60-40 fight, 70-30, being Shakur the favorite. Do you see it that way, or do you think this is a 50-50 fight?
Nah, you said 60-40?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely. No, Tio's definitely in this fight. He's in it to win it. I think. We're talking pure boxing.
Yeah.
Shakur, but we talk a dog. Tio.
Yeah.
And Tio's just as fast. There's speed and there's elite speed. Tio's got speed. Shakur's got elite speed. But that's not too far off, especially when you're not a come forward fighter. Shakur's not a come forward, step to you with my speed and hurt you with my speed type fighter.
Yeah.
So, that speed gets neutralized when you're moving in the other direction.
Absolutely.
It gets neutralized when you're moving in the other direction. No, it's not 60-40. It's a 50-50 fight.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it from...
Who do you think will come out on top in this clash of styles? Drop your predictions in the comments below. That wraps up today's video. If you liked what you saw, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our future content. And make sure to let us know your thoughts down in the comments.